top of the world. White Heat is top of the world. It's one of the best gangster films ever made.
You won't get away with it, Cody.
You've got a good memory for names. Too good. To me, you're just a face and a number. Let's keep it that way for now. When I want your help, I'll ask for it.
Have it your way, Cody.
I often show White Heat in my classes.
I'll give it a layer.
It blows the students away.
The power of Public Enemy is then reflected in White Heat. Years later, 20 years later. The psychosis that begins with Tom Powers comes to fruition with Cody Jarrett.
And I think Cagney's portrayal of Tom Powers and the protagonist in Roaring Twenties is as interesting as his Cody Jarrett. But I think what works in White Heat are the extreme characterizations, not just Cagney's, but, Steve Cochran and Virginia Mayo, all come together in this sort of furiously paced noir melodrama.
This thing has got tight, mean, psychotic, and a kind of real heavy film noir, true film noir.
Cagney, by the end of the 1930s, was able to choose his own roles. He had fought Warner Brothers, and they had reconciled, and then he'd come back, and Angels with Dirty Faces was sort of the first, great film of the second Cagney era at Warner Brothers.
Cagney, by that point, again, 1939, and he took in 8 years of making tough guy roles and that sort of thing, and I think by that point he didn't want to do it anymore.
2 for 1.
He had a possibility to opt out of his Warner Brothers contract, which he did after Yankee Doodle Dandy in 1942.
After Cagney won the Oscar as George M. Cohan, he, again, like he did from the very beginning, walked out.
He thought the whole studio was very unwise in the way they withheld money. And he said, I'll never go back there again.
And he formed a production company with his brother, William Cagney. They were going to release so many films they had on the docket. They got this Pulitzer Prize-winning New York Drama Critics Award-winning play of 1940 by William Saroyan, The Time of Your Life. Here they have this man, practically in the whole film, sitting down at a table in this cafe. It makes no sense. No wonder it bombed. Well, thank God he went back to Warner Brothers and signed a lucrative contract.
He could choose his story. He could rewrite the script to his heart's content. He could also get a percentage of the royalties from the reruns of his old movies, which are now just beginning to be sold to television. So it was a very sweet deal.
In his third stage of his career there, White Heat was the first film. Obviously, it was a calculation on everybody's part that they were going to return Cagney to the Warner Brothers fold in a gangster film.
One of the great lines that went with that film at the time, I remember, is, all Cagney breaks loose. And Warner Brothers issued this 4-page memorandum to all of the newspapers that Jimmy Cagney is back where he belongs, doing what he belongs, or doing what he should be doing, what he does best, his gangster role.
It's hard to think of anybody else doing this film, doing White Heat, and creating the kind of characterization that he did. What actor would do that kind of wild improvisation? There's no one but Cagney could have done that film. White Heat is an extraordinary film because in that one film, James Cagney takes elements from all his previous portrayals in the gangster film and the crime film and in comedies, biographies, everything he'd done, and stirs them all into one amazing characterization that, at the same time, is nothing like his earlier films.
What's the matter, Parker? I ain't going to do anything. Not now. I'm going to let you stay awake nights, sweat it out. And then when I get ready, good and ready, I'll pay you back.
It's just a pleasure, a joy to watch him on the screen. There's something so kinetic about Cagney. So something from the beginning, this tremendous energy that he had, the madness and the sentiment, the feeling.
The director, Raoul Walsh, really understood Cagney's abilities as an actor, and would, and later on especially, would let him improvise because he could always do such good business.
I think the story goes that Cagney said, if we're going to do this thing, what can we do it differently? And he said, let's play him really screwy. Let's really make him crazy.
He wanted to create a new gangster, a new type of gangster. He saw this character, Cody Jarrett, and he said, I'm going to make him into an absolute psychopath.
They think they've got Cody Jarrett. They haven't got Cody Jarrett. Yeah, they haven't got him. And I'm going to show you. They haven't got him. Come on. Come with me.
When he riddles Big Ed full of bullets, he doesn't say anything. There's a glee. There's a pride. He just points to it. There's a sense of triumph. He enjoys this. Cagney, as all good actors do, brought a lot from his own life. You have to. If you're going to be authentic on the screen, believable on the screen, you have to use the structures and materials from your own life.
That scream, or whatever you call it, that wail that came up from the very depths of him, it made you feel like somebody was putting, white-hot needles under his fingernails. Part of that, he used to say, years afterwards, came from a visit that he made as a boy to an insane asylum on Ward's Island. That scene, by the way, was kept very secret from almost everybody on the set, what was going to happen. The extras had no idea what was going to happen. There were 300 people in that room when they shot that. There is genuine shock on their faces. Even today, it's shocking and takes your breath away. Nobody's quite sure what was wrong with Cody Jarrett, by the way. We're divided as film critics or scholars or whatever we are when we look at that film. Some think he suffered from migraine headaches. Others think he was an epileptic. And there are sort of hints of both.
When he was a kid, he used to fake headaches in order to get his mother's attention away from the rest of the family. It worked. As he grew up, the fancied headaches became real until now they tear him to pieces.
If you take the fact that his relationship to his mother has twisted his life, I think you're taking the easy answer that Cody Jarrett is a more complex character. Because the real fundamental betrayal that infuriates them, if you will, is the fact that he's trusted another man, and that guy has been playing him for a sucker.
A cop. A cop. How do you like that, boys? A cop. And his name is Fallon.
He's almost crying. That's why it's such a rich kind of experience, more than most of the earlier gangster films. You'd strike deeper chords to which people respond. Cagney in White Heat gives, I think, one of the great performances in the history of the cinema.
Werner, help me out at the groceries.
Look at the entrance of Virginia Mayo. Look at her entrance. Beautiful women like Virginia Mayo don't snore. This script is full of all of these most mundane vulgarity. Look at her spitting the gum out of her mouth.
She's treacherous, she's disloyal, she's gross.
This is Raoul Walsh's input. He loved these type of women. From the time he began making pictures, he loved very trashy, very independent women who you don't have to worry about. They were going to survive. They were survivors. They were tough and brassy.
It's eating you, sugar.
You and your big ideas. That's all they are, ideas. You and me belong together, sugar. Just leave it to Big Ed. Well, I'm sick of waiting for you to make your move. You're as scared of Cody as any of them.
I had some great roles with Raoul Walsh. And White Heat was wonderful. It was fabulous.
I look good in a neat coat, honey.
Mm-hmm. You look good in a shower curtain.
Jimmy was so strong that you had to react to him. That's how powerful he was. In the garage, I'm trying to get away because I know he's going to come after me. He really scared me. I couldn't hardly speak, and he choked it out of me.
I can't tell you.
Help me.
He got her in the back.
He enjoyed working with me, I found out, and he said, I want you to be in my next picture, which is a musical, West Point story. So great, I wanted to work in the next picture because he sent me to his dancing teacher. He said, I want you to learn this routine because we have to do it in the picture. It was easy, you know, I could do that. Easy, standing on my head.
Ham.
Top of the world, son.
Don't know what I'd do without you, Ma.
The mother theme subplot in White Heat is one of the more fascinating things, I think, about that movie. Here you have Margaret Wycherley, who was a classically trained actress. She used to do Shakespearean plays on the stage in New York. And then, of course, before that, everyone remembered her as Gary Cooper's wonderful mother in Sergeant York. You know, this saintly Christian woman.
Lord, if you can, help him to be a gift in his land. Amen.
So who do they cast as his almost equally crazy mother, Margaret Wycherley?
This mother certainly constituted his problem and aggravates his problem and knows what she's doing. She's very, very aware of what she's doing.
You had this extraordinary scene in White Heat where, you know, he's crying and sitting on his mother's lap.
Always thinking about your Cody, aren't you?
That's right.
This is a middle-aged man, and she wants that middle-aged man on her lap. This is control with a capital C.
In Time magazine once said that Raoul Walsh was the only director who could get away with having James Cagney sit on his mother's lap, you know, and he does in this movie, and you don't laugh, you know. I mean, he really needs his mother.
Better?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Now go on out. Show him you're all right.
Another thing that makes this film, White Heat, so post-classical is the fact that, you know, the representation of the mother in terms of Hollywood is so vastly different from what the classical period did. You know, the mother as ideal, the mother on a pedestal, the mother as savior, the mother as nurturer. This mother is from hell.
I'll take care of Big Ed.
No, Ma. You won't have a chance.
Anytime I can't handle his kind, I'll know I'm getting old.
The mother was a force for evil. I mean, she was wild. She's a great character.
The mother relationship becomes kind of sinister, and so you get this, you know, evil mother-son team. It's quite wonderful.
I'll take care of them when I get out.
That's what I told myself. And I'll help you, Cody, like always. You'll be out soon. Back on top of the world.
When you're around, Ma, nothing can stop me.
So we have Ma putting it under the rubric, top of the world, son. That's the direction, that's the thrust. He has direction, he has thrust. And at the end, he pays obeisance to her, even though she's long dead. She's long dead, you know. And he says, made it, Ma, top of the world. This is another Walshian thing, the director. Walsh knew that entrances for actors were as important as exits. So look at the exit that he gives him. It's a wonderful exit, blowing himself up.
Well, the gangster and crime films, especially the ones in this set, really demonstrate what made American films unique and the most popular in the world.
You have a evocation of an underworld that exists parallel to the normal world that the people who went to the movies lived in. And what these movies gave them in the 30s, usually in gangster films, and in the 40s in full-blown film noir, is a view of an alternate world, which was really there.
No art form took the American situation of crime because of Prohibition, took that and made it into a genre.
The advantage in the Warner's films is they knew that these were based on real people. They read about them in newspapers, and when they saw them on screen, they could obviously readily accept that underlying reality.
People are always attracted to badness so long as it's not too bad, and so long as they can sympathize with the characters.
Whether we all formally admit it or not, we all love to walk on the wild side. We all have the lure of the underground. Cody and Whitey, 50 years later, still works because he allows us a key into this underground. We can walk the wild side with him. And that was the appeal of Rico Bandello and Tom Powers and Eddie Bartlett and all the gangsters today. They set out to do what they do, and they do it, no matter the risk, no matter the danger, even the chance of oblivion by death.
Come and get me!
We are all, for whatever reason, like moths to the traditional flame, drawn to the dark underbelly of life. And perhaps all of us sort of envy gangsters.
The first time any one of you makes a wrong move, I'm going to kill the whole lot of you. What do you hear what he say?
Oh, Mother of mercy. Is this the end of Rico?
I ain't so tough.
He used to be a big shot.
Come out with your hands up, the man says. How do you like that, Ma? Here's my answer, you dirty...